Greetings, gourmands and gluttons. It's time for another monthly edition of... What are we calling this? Oh yeah, Eater's Digest. Sorry, I've got baby brain. The baby was born the week after my last post. And so this one is made out of old news because all of the links that I collected are from August. We are 86ing Fjord Dining. At this floating restaurant in Norway, in the middle of a fjord, guests spend up to $560 to dine on an 18-course menu. So this is the restaurant that lays before you. It is in the middle of a fjord. You have to take a little boat, ferry type thing to get there. And it is in Hardangerfjord.
Hardangerfjord.
That's tough.
You've got to stop at a little barn, or I guess it's called a boathouse, and you take a little ferry from that island to the actual restaurant. And it's kind of like a Disney ride where you've got the path where you're going in. It's all a little annoying. I think it's a little bit too close to the menu, and I think that the vibe of all of that has been tainted by people who watched that flick and have started to feel superior to the fine dining experience. I don't like how fancy chefs have become the scapegoat for like class warfare. I recently saw an Instagram comment, First We Feast, and they have a show called Pizza Wars. Somebody had the top comment that was like, oh, there's nothing worse than the phrase elevated pizza. Why does simple have to mean commodity grade? Caviar is simple. It's one ingredient. It has nothing to do with simplicity. It's that pizza is meant to be a food of a certain level of price that's meant to be kept low. And I would agree with that. But the idea that like something being elevated is in itself a bad idea, very stinky to me. And I think that comes from a place of watching movies like The Menu. The biggest crime out of all of this is the fact that you cannot spend $500 plus travel to go to this like extremely remote location and avoid the most persistent reminder of modernity, the selfie taker. Can you imagine spending this much money and going to a restaurant and there's a selfie taker in the background, covering your pristine view of the fjord? That being said, we are 86ing that. And in its place, we are firing hibachi restaurants. I have not been to a hibachi restaurant since I was in maybe 6th grade because I went once in El Paso and that was enough. Onion volcano, that's hibachi. Egg on the spatula, that's hibachi. Until, check this thing out. He grabbed the fire, he squirt the oil, he make a firebomb on the food. I'm thinking hibachi restaurants are back. That's hibachi. There was a hibachi chef moment on the latest season of Below Deck. The chef was required to do hibachi on the cruise ship, or what's it called, the yacht ship, and she didn't know how to do that, so she faked it on two consumer-grade flat-top griddles, and it worked out fine. When I went to Cancun for my what's it called, honeymoon. There's two hibachi, what are they called, tables. That was the only thing where it was difficult to get a reservation, but it was next to the sushi restaurant, so every once in a while when we were eating sushi, we're like, wow, these people really showed out for the hibachi. Somebody is finally moving the needle in the realm of performance art in the hibachi world, and I'm back on board. I don't think I've ever been to a hibachi, and I probably should go. It's just a question of when. What I don't understand is how many people can go to like Benihana on a monthly basis. Are you just getting the same thing every time? I think tableside food performance as a whole should come back. Yeah, I think that really all we get now is like tableside guacamole preparation over here. We are 86ing reporters acting like they're in on it. And New York's hottest steakhouse was fake until Saturday night. This is definitely something that a famous British YouTuber already did, which is make a fake fancy restaurant and trick a bunch of people to go in and dine there. And it turns out that like the chef was making microwave food and everybody who works there didn't know what they were doing. Look, they're baking steaks on these like disposable aluminum pans. Sommeliers are like 21 years old. They barely know how to open a bottle of wine. They made a group of fake Drake fans stand outside and they're like, oh my gosh, we love you, Drake, to make it seem as though celebrities were eating there. There was a fake proposal. Look at how close these tables are together. The tablecloths look horrible. The chairs look horrible. The vibe looks horrible. What is that, acoustic paneling? This open air, there's industrial grade speakers. This doesn't look like something that's tricking anybody. When the YouTube video comes out, what network will this be on? I think it'll be some like Mr. Beast, Max Fosh wannabe. We made a fake restaurant. It's gonna suck so much. It all started in a hacker house in New York's Upper East Side. Wakey, wakey, Upper East Siders. It's time to pull a prank online. Gossip Girl 3 rebooted again. Come on! That's us 86ing reporters acting like they're in on it, when in reality, we are firing reporters that are just not even trying to act like they know what's up. Pocky One Chip Challenge is being pulled from the shelves. And the story, well, I'm not gonna say the story doesn't matter. Tragically, somebody died, a teenager died, and this One Chip Challenge chip was the last thing that they ate. So there's no proof saying that this is what caused it, but out of an abundance of caution, Pocky has removed the chips from store shelves. Okay, well, what does that mean? Is it available online still? still. Is there any speculation as to whether the rarity will make the chip more desirable for kids because it's like a cool thing to have now that it's like, ooh, the illegal chip? What does it mean being pulled from shelves? And what's very funny is that at the end, the big bow on top, it was not immediately clear how many of the One Chip Challenge packages had been sold since the latest flavor was released in August. A local CBS affiliate in Boston said on Wednesday that it had found the chip at a grocery store about 10 minutes from Paris's school. It doesn't seem to have been pulled from the shelves at all.
So it seems.
We are gonna 86 seed packing companies due to something called Peppergate. Peppergate, also known as Jalapeno Gate and the Great Pepper Mix-Up of 2023, has become a significant topic of discussion within the gardening community. Basically, all across the country, hobbyist gardeners were having their pepper plants start fruiting in August and post online saying like, why are my jalapenos so long? Or why are these poblanos so light in color? It turns out that just everybody across the country and in some other parts of the world were buying their seeds from reputable seed brands, but those reputable seed brands were packaging the pepper seeds in the wrong envelopes. Like what you bought in the package wasn't what you got. And so not until the actual peppers fully fruited would you be like, something's not quite right here. Seems like jalapeno and bell peppers are mostly banana and shishito during the Peppergate fiasco. You look at how confused D. Ivory is in this post. My poblano wants to be a shishito so bad. I never planted shishito. 4 shishito plants and no poblanos. Which companies are sending out the wrong pepper seeds? Ferry-Moore's, huge. Baker Creek, huge. Burpee, huge. Ball Seed.
Not that huge.
How can I tell if it's genuinely what I ordered? Most pepper seeds look identical. If you cut a jalapeno in half and if you cut a bell pepper in half and you mix all the seeds up, it's gonna be very difficult to tell what is what because they look almost exactly the same. And yeah, you can get a refund, but it's like a pack of seeds is like $2.50. All the water and all the time and all the fertilizer costs way more than that. So annoying. The globalists, they're at it again. After 86ing the seed packing companies, we are then going to fire the sauce packing companies. Pink sauce was a viral TikTok food stuff tainted by misfortune from the outset. Chef P, aka what is this, Veronica Shaw, made what is basically just ranch dressing plus dragon fruit. So it's like, oh, it's all natural. It's pink sauce. It tastes so good. Like ranch is the perfect sauce, right? To make it pink is just like so smart. It's just like, oh, it's pink ranch, but I'm gonna call it the pink sauce. But nobody could tell what was in it because she was shipping this stuff out from her own house. Like she wasn't packaging it properly, so you couldn't tell what the ingredients lists were or what the nutrition facts were. But then people were receiving rotten bottles that were like inflated, swollen because of the fermentation process that's taking place. It came to a head most famously where she was doing a TikTok live where she was making an argument that she doesn't need to work with the FDA because pink sauce is not a drug.
What do you mean FDA approved? I don't sell medical products. The pink sauce don't contribute to your health. I never said that.
Seemingly unaware of what the F in FDA stands for. She's saying she's a young entrepreneur, big dreams. She made a few mistakes on the way, which led me to, wrong led here, trust a company that is trying to take everything away from me. The company's called Dave's Gourmet. The company says that it's paid the chef $120,000. So there's a $100,000 GoFundMe saying that she was financially sabotaged, but she's already gotten allegedly $120,000 from sales of the product already. I'm gonna take the side of Dave's here. The sauce arrived at Walmart. That's about as good as it can get for like an influencer product. I think that this person might claw tooth and nail at some victory that just sends her further into misery. In terms of the news you can use portion of this show, getting rid of all of the articles, just talking about what applies to you, I would really like to talk about a concept called the K-shaped recovery. When COVID first started, there was this huge economic dip, like the S&P just tanked for a while. And the pundits were talking about what's called a V-shaped recovery, saying, yeah, it dipped, but it's gonna bounce back up just as fast as it went down. And the types of people that I listened to made me feel as though what's called a K-shaped recovery would be taking place. It's gonna be K-shaped, nothing's ever gonna return to normal, there's just gonna be a splitting off where a portion of Americans do significantly worse and a portion of Americans do significantly better. The middle class will dissolve. I don't know if you can argue that that's not very apparent when you look at these headlines. The brewing war over who goes hungry in America and how to feed them. America's school lunch crisis. A retro hobby for the end times. If that doesn't say K-shaped recovery, I don't know what does. So this idea that there's going to be no middle class and there's going to be even more disparity seems to be evident in headlines of every publication. Like some people are just clawing at the threads to survive and others are LARPing as broke or quaint or cottagecore. And I think one side effect of this is the cultural uncertainty of how to act when it's not quite clear where you land in that K-shaped recovery. You take middle-class jobs like auto workers and they go on strike, and it seems like they might be trying to get a little tiny step up, but in reality, they're kind of just trying to stay where they are after a bunch of money printing took place. Like, people in the middle class see this fork in the K, and there's just a ton of uncertainty regarding which direction their fate will be. And I find that very apparent in this article. I tried Chili's for the first time with a friend, and our $102 meal was the best I've ever had at a chain restaurant by Aaron McDonald. Dinner for me and a friend, including cocktails, 2 appetizers, 2 entrees, and a dessert, was $102. It was a great value, and everything we ordered was delicious, from the skillet queso to the ribs. Like, look at the way this is written. We perused the extensive menu, which included everything from burgers and salads to pasta and sizzling fajitas. The AI breached containment. It all ties so much together with like the restaurant story, the fake restaurant, the Fjord dining experience, the menu. It's just like, you know what, guys? It is true. Commodity grade microwave food is good. And I admit it, and you're right. But nothing gets me more riled up than the cultural and economic shift that could take place if dynamic pricing makes its way into the supermarket. If you don't know what dynamic pricing is, you already have it. It's like, as demand for something goes up, if the service that you're buying it from is connected to the internet and it's culturally acceptable, prices will go up and down. This is taking place in the pricing schemes at fast food like McDonald's. During this K-shaped recovery, you've got this problem where it's like, okay, we need to make McDonald's cost 5 times as much so that a Big Mac is $6, but we can't alienate our diehard McDonald's fans who have been eating here for 50 years. So what do? They introduce the McDonald's app so that if you have the app, you can still get chicken nuggets for 99 cents. But for people who don't care that much about McDonald's, they just go through the drive-thru once every 3 months because they're on a road trip. They are just like, all right, give me whatever. I don't care what the price is. Picture yourself grocery shopping. In the bread aisle, you see 2 loaves identically wrapped. Both are perfectly edible, but one is a day older and costs half the price. I really don't like the way that they're introducing this idea of dynamic pricing to the grocery store under false pretenses. So here are a few potential nightmare scenarios that I've written up so that you can get a sense of why I hate this so much. You're grocery shopping and there's a new TikTok recipe going viral that calls for 5 pounds of apples. Now apples cost $10 each. Anything going viral and causing the demand to go up is going to just ruin the prices of something that you already enjoy. Nightmare scenario number 2, the price stays the same for the people who care, like the McDonald's scenario, because through couponing, through installing the Kroger app, you're able to just keep the prices the same. But the prices skyrocket for people who don't care or don't know how much something could cost. So now the pain involved in learning how to cook for yourself becomes insurmountable, because it's just like so many people as it is already see cooking for yourself as this insurmountable task that it's just like, oh my gosh, I have to buy $50 worth of groceries just to make a cheeseburger. That's going to be so much worse if dynamic pricing makes it so that people who don't know how much something should cost are forced to pay that. Nightmare scenario number 3, dynamic pricing gets really, really good. It's as good as the Instagram algorithm. It knows you, it knows that you just had a baby, that you're tired, and that you will pay $10 for a case of Sprite because your kid is screaming and you don't have the time. The system works by design so flawlessly that you are always charged the maximum amount that you are willing to spend on any given product. That would be an economist's dream, a merchant's dream, and everybody else's nightmare. I'm so sorry to have left you with so much bad news, so much sad news, and so much devastating development to think about, but that's what I've got for the month, and hopefully the news next time will be more happy. Is it ever? Time will tell.